Welcome back. I'd like to start by thanking our volunteer crew and the Shaw staff that makes this program happen every week. Our guest in this segment is Torrance Coste. Torrance is with the Western Canada Wilderness Committee, WC Squared. We're going to be talking about the Walbran Valley, and I'd just like to say that a lot of people have never seen old growth, because you don't see it when you're driving around. It's all gone. They've destroyed it all. It's gone. What you see are tree farms. But there are some small patches left, and one is in the Walbran Valley. Old growth forests are magnificent, and really it's a sin to destroy them, but that's what the Christy Clark government and the logging companies and everybody else are doing. So, Torrance, the Walbran Valley.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny one for someone like me, a young environmental activist here in BC, to be working on. It sort of has this legendary, this fabled status on the coast here. Activists worked on it kind of to cut their teeth, and now they're some of the most established environmentalists in the province, or experienced environmentalists working in Victoria. And we're right back where we were, in the early 90s when I was just a kid. These pockets of old growth, the ones that are standing, are rarer now than they were then, because most of the area around it has been turned into Swiss cheese. And you hit the nail on the head when you said there's just pockets remaining. There's a little bit in protected areas. Fortunately, the valley north of the Walbran, the Carmanah Valley, was protected in the early 90s by the government of the day. That was a positive step forward. But after that, old growth conservation on Vancouver Island really stagnated. No new protected areas to protect this high value, low elevation old growth have been set up in the province, and that's what we're calling on to happen now. Some sort of protected area that works for the First Nation, that works for the ecosystems. These old growth systems, they sequester more climate changing carbon, they provide better habitat for endangered species. Just everything about them has more ecological benefits than a second growth forest, than a tree farm, and we've got plenty of tree farms. Over 90% of the island has been logged at one point or the other. So what we're calling for at the Wilderness Committee is protection of any remaining old growth, starting with the biggest intact pockets, and on southern Vancouver Island that means the Walbran Valley.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. Mm-hmm. Exactly. The protection of all the remaining old growth. It's insanity of the highest order to do anything else. I mean, this is, have we not destroyed the planet enough? Can we not save a few fragments? But no, the industrial empire must continue, and it won't stop. It won't stop until we stop it. So what's going on in the Walbran right now? Are they logging? Or?
Even in this instance, it's within a tree farm. They call them tree farm licenses, these giant tenures that the BC government leases out to forest corporations, logging corporations. And this one, it's called TFL 46, and it's over 90,000 hectares, just this one license. The area of the central Walbran that hasn't been logged yet, it's kind of nestled into a big pocket. We call it the Bight because it looks like a bite out of the Carmanah Walbran Provincial Park. It's 486 hectares. That's a little bit bigger than Stanley Park in Vancouver. This isn't a huge area. This isn't a giant, radical, harebrained ask. This is a little sliver of ecosystem that doesn't occur anywhere else, certainly within this tree farm license, almost anywhere else on Vancouver Island, and we're asking for it to be protected. So, again, this isn't a big radical ask, and the logging company has basically refused to come to the table on it. We sent them a map about this time last year that laid out more or less a line in the sand. Any old growth logging on Vancouver Island we're going to be opposed to, but as they wean themselves off this finite resource, 1,000-year-old trees take 1,000 years to grow. Forests aren't managed on that scale. This is a finite, old growth forests are a finite resource. Forests, if managed,
but it's got nothing to do with the logging company. It's Christy Clark.
But right. So this logging company has applied for these permits. We had, between when they made the application and when they got their permit, they the provincial government, Christy Clark, the Forest Minister, Steve Thompson, the Environment Minister, Mary Pollock, they received thousands of letters online, thousands of petition signatures asking them to not approve these cut blocks, and then last September that's exactly what they did. So they've approved a series of cut blocks, one on the north side of the river, which again is this contiguous intact tract that we're most concerned about, and then several more, 5 or 6 more cut blocks on the south side of the river. Again, this logging isn't great, we definitely don't support it, but our kind of line in the sand is that Walbran River, and crossing over to the north side of it is unacceptable for us.
So what does that mean, unacceptable?
It's sort of our negotiating envelope. It's what we don't want to see happen at all, and it's where as a charity, the Wilderness Committee can't take a physical stand.
Is anybody else taking a physical stand?
Absolutely. So the company first encountered blockades in the Walbran in November of last year, mid-November, and there haven't been any arrests because to block a public logging road, public forestry road, isn't illegal. The company went to court and got an injunction. They wrongly named both myself and the Wilderness Committee on the injunction, which is frustrating, and it's a move to scare.
Just one of the tricks they play.
It's a move to scare other activists, other organizations out of vocally advocating on this issue, and then so there's been a couple challenges of the injunction. They applied earlier this year, first week of the new year, to have that injunction extended out until September. They wanted to try and bar public access to the Walbran until September. They weren't successful in that. They did receive a new injunction until the end of March, which we're disappointed in. But the way it's worded,
so what is the injunction?
The injunction prohibits people from blocking access to the cut blocks.
Okay.
Like blogging.
So are they logging those areas now?
Yes, they are. They are. Yeah.
And that's not in the area that you say cannot be gone into, but getting closer to it.
Too close to it. And again,
are they logging in old growth forest now?
Absolutely. So any old growth logging is unacceptable.
Where's Justin? We're talking about COP21. We're talking about what Canada's do. Canada's leading the way. Where are our politics? Where's the NDP? Where's the media? Where's anybody? While the most magnificent things in the world, while they're destroying everything everywhere else, we've got something here and we don't even know about it. I mean, I know a lot more about the Vancouver Canucks and the Seattle Seahawks and the Toronto Blue Jays than I will ever hear about the Walbran Valley, because they don't want us to know.
Right.
So that's where we stand.
Right. So with the federal government, I've talked to a few of the local MPs here, and most of them just with forestry issues for years at the Wilderness Committee, we've experienced this from federal politicians, is that forests are provincial jurisdictions and they don't want to come too close to it. Really, really frustrating. But the climate piece is something that the new Trudeau government has been very vocal on. They were over in Paris for COP21.
Where's the provincial NDP then?
Using rhetoric like Canada is back. The provincial NDP, again, we really like to see leadership from them on this. We haven't yet. We need them to come to the table and to be the opposition. We get calls in our office every day. I've never talked to a member of the public who is supportive of old growth logging in these last couple patches of intact forests like the Walbran. So the provincial NDP, they really need to come on side. This kind of wishy-washy, middle-of-the-road opposition isn't
I'm a member of the NDP, and the leadership of the NDP, they've taken over the party. They have nothing to do with the membership. They run the show for themselves, and it's their careers and their pensions that it's all about, and they won't rock the boat. And the boat is not us. We're not part of the boat. It's the people up top who are part of the boat. So that's the NDP. So with the COP21, with the federal government certainly taking a stronger vocal stance on climate change. It's yet to be seen whether they're actually going to act on it to a greater degree than the outgoing Conservative government did. But forests can't be overlooked in this conversation about climate change. There's lots we need to do. We need to leave tar sands oil in the ground. We need to leave LNG in the ground. We need to be retrofitting our buildings. We need to be completely redoing old growth
the way we
forests.
do
I mean, it's
transportation.
right there.
And
it's obviously the smartest thing to do.
On southern Vancouver Island, we don't have tar sands or LNG to leave underground.
And yet it's being destroyed right in front of our very eyes. How far is the Walbran Valley from Victoria?
It's about 2.5 hours in good weather from Victoria.
So you're talking 100 miles?
Yeah, if that. Yeah. It's tough to access on the logging roads, especially this time of year. It is really tough.
And we shouldn't drive up there. because that's another climate change thing, right? We just got to appreciate it for what it is, leave it alone, and don't log it. I mean, it's that simple. And when I criticize the NDP, hey, listen, if they change and just start doing what the membership wants, then I'll be their best friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So again, you know, it's tough to see, but I'm hopeful that a good resolution. We know this is on the radar of the opposition and of the provincial government. It's just a matter of transforming that into action. And I think that in the last year we've made some progress towards that. And again, I haven't given up. Like I say, people come into our office every day, say, who do I need to talk to? Which are the political leaders who have to answer to me on this? And we tell them, and we
yeah,
start
but
to create
the
that
answer
pressure.
is it doesn't matter because they won't stop. I mean, you know, 20 years ago I was doing exactly what you were doing,
Right.
and there was a lot more forest left.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a game to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to destroy it all until they're stopped. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's why it's our job to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mess. So, I mean, you know, the environmental groups have some power.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see the environmental groups start having shows on community television. You know, we sort of mentioned it before. I don't know. You should think about it, and so should the Sierra Club, and so should, you know, many other groups. Even one-offs, even one a month, even one every 2 months, because it's important that people know about these things, and a lot of people watch TV.
That's an interesting idea. I think again, the more people that hear about this, there's so much competition. You mentioned all the sports teams that people are right up on following, and getting this kind of thing sort of into that public awareness.
Well,
sphere.
the media covers the sports
Right.
because that's what they want people thinking about. The media and the corporations are one.
Yeah.
So they're not going to start telling people about the logging of the Walbran Valley because they don't work for us. They work for the corporations, and so do a lot of the politicians. So really it's down to us. We're the only ones who are going to save the Walbran Valley, and so far I've been losing for 20 years.
Yeah.
Torrance, I'm sorry I used up too much time, but we're out of time, but we'll come back and do it again.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for watching this clear-cut segment of Citizens Forum.